came home after a night with my lover, expecting my husband to be asleep, but the house was empty, too clean, too quiet. On the table, a framed screenshot of my affair messages waited. I chuckled, assuming he was being petty, until I opened the bedroom closet. And screamed. I never thought I'd be the one writing a story like this, but here I am. I'm a 34-year-old woman living in Chicago, and I've been married to my husband, Mark, for 10 years. We have a townhouse in Lincoln Park, a neighborhood known for its historic charm and vibrant community. Mark works as an architect downtown, often putting in long hours, while I manage a local art gallery. Our marriage had its routine, comfortable but perhaps too predictable. Lately, I felt a growing restlessness, a yearning for something different, something more. That's when Alex entered my life. Alex is a 29-year-old artist from New York who came to Chicago for an exhibition at my gallery. He has this magnetic presence, a passion for art that reignited something in me. Our professional relationship quickly turned personal. We'd spend hours discussing art and life over coffee at Café Sel Marie in Lincoln Square. One evening, after a particularly engaging conversation, we crossed a line I never thought I would. The affair was exhilarating, a stark contrast to the monotony I felt in my marriage. I knew it was wrong, but I justified it by telling myself that Mark and I were growing apart anyway. Alex made me feel alive, seen, and desired. One night, after spending time with Alex at his rented loft in Wicker Park, I returned home expecting to find Mark asleep. Instead, the house was eerily silent. The living room was spotless, too clean. On the dining table, a framed screenshot of my text messages with Alex stood upright. My heart raced, but I chuckled nervously, thinking Mark was being dramatic. I called out for him, but there was no response. I walked upstairs to our bedroom, the weight of the situation sinking in. Opening the closet, I was met with emptiness. Mark's clothes, shoes, and personal items were gone. Panic set in. I tried calling him, but it went straight to voicemail. I texted, apologizing profusely, begging him to come home so we could talk. Hours passed with no response. The next morning, I received an email from Mark. He explained that he had discovered my affair weeks ago, but wanted to gather his thoughts before confronting me. He felt betrayed, humiliated, and needed space. He was staying with his brother in Evanston and would contact me when he was ready to discuss the next steps. Days turned into weeks. The silence was deafening. I ended things with Alex immediately, realizing that the temporary thrill wasn't worth the destruction of my marriage. I started therapy to understand why I made the choices I did and to become a better version of myself. Eventually, Mark agreed to meet. We sat in a quiet corner of the Bourgeois Pig Cafe in Lincoln Park, the weight of our shared history between us. I apologized, tears streaming down my face, expressing my regret and commitment to making things right. Mark listened, his eyes reflecting pain and disappointment. He wasn't sure if he could trust me again, but agreed to attend couples therapy to explore the possibility of rebuilding. Rebuilding trust was a slow, arduous process. We attended therapy sessions weekly, had open and honest conversations, and set new boundaries. I had to prove my commitment daily, understanding that forgiveness wasn't owed but earned. Months later, while things were better, the scars remained. Mark had moments of doubt, and I had to be patient, offering reassurance without defensiveness. We decided to renew our vows in a small ceremony at Promontory Point, symbolizing a new beginning. The journey taught me the value of honesty, the fragility of trust, and the importance of communication. While the road was challenging, it led us to a deeper understanding of ourselves and each other. Our marriage wasn't the same as before, it was more intentional, more aware, and, in many ways, stronger. So things were quiet for a while after we started therapy. Too quiet, actually. Mark wasn't yelling, wasn't accusing. But he wasn't really talking either, not the way he used to. He was polite, distant, like a roommate who knew me inside out but didn't really want to know me anymore. That polite kind of cold. I kept showing up. To therapy. To him. Making dinner. Being present. Noticing things. Hoping it mattered. But then, one night, I walked into the kitchen and saw him wiping his phone screen. Just a little too quickly. Something in his face changed when he noticed me watching him. I didn't say anything. I just stared at him. "Something wrong?" he asked, like nothing happened. I shrugged. "No. Just wondering what's got you smiling at your phone lately." He looked down. His jaw clenched. "Just a client." That answer sat wrong with me. But I had no right. I had no high ground to stand on. I was the one who cheated. The one who burned the trust. Still, I couldn't ignore the shift. He started working late. A lot. Sometimes he'd come home already showered, which was new. Sometimes he'd smell like a cologne I hadn't smelled before. I hated that it made me crazy. I hated that I suddenly understood how paranoia grows in your chest like weeds. Then one night, a number I didn't recognize texted his phone while he was in the shower. I wasn't proud, but I picked it up. "You left your scarf in my car again." My stomach dropped. I didn't even feel anger at first. Just heat. A quiet heat that crawled into my neck and ears. I set the phone down. Face down. Walked upstairs like nothing happened. Mark came out, towel around his waist, hair dripping. "Everything okay?" he asked. I looked him in the eyes. "You tell me." He paused. Blinked. "What's that supposed to mean?" I pointed to his phone downstairs. The scarf. In her car. His face went blank. That was when he said it. Cold. Measured. I didn't plan it. It just happened. I laughed loud and sharp. "Oh, is that what we say now? It just happened?" He didn't flinch. "After what you did, I didn't think I owed you anything." We stood in that room, bare feet on the carpet, marriage falling apart for the second time. And then he added something that knocked the air out of me. "She's someone I met at therapy." I stared at him. "Our therapy?" "No," he said, too fast. "Mine. Separate sessions. After yours." "She's your therapist?" I asked, disgusted. "No," he said again. "Just another client." We started talking in the waiting room. That's all it was at first. But it wasn't just talking. It never is. So now I'm in the same house, sleeping on a different floor, trying to piece together whether I should stay or go. If I even have a right to ask him to stop. If either of us can salvage something from this wreckage, or if we're both just clinging to a ghost. He said he stopped seeing her. That it wasn't serious. That it was about revenge, about pain, about getting even. But here's the part that kills me. I believed him. And now I don't know if I should. A few weeks passed after Mark admitted to the affair. We were surviving. Barely speaking unless we had to. Living like strangers under the same roof. I moved back into the guest room. He stayed in the master bedroom. We saw the same couple's therapist, but the sessions felt like walking on glass. Neither of us was really present anymore. Then, one morning, a thick white envelope showed up in our mailbox. No return address. Inside were printed photos. Dozens of them. Me. Alex. Walking hand in hand down the 606 trail. Sitting at that tiny ramen place in Logan Square. Kissing in his car parked behind the gallery. Not phone screenshots. Real, grainy, zoomed-in pictures. Someone had been following us. Documenting us. For weeks, maybe months. There was no note inside. No threat. Just pictures. I sat at the kitchen table holding the envelope while Mark came downstairs, half asleep and holding his coffee. He froze the second he saw my face. I didn't say a word. Just slid the envelope across the table toward him. He opened it. Slowly. His eyes scanned the photos one by one. And then, to my surprise, he started to laugh. Not in a happy way, more like that low, bitter kind of laugh people make when they realize just how bad things are. "I didn't send these," he said quietly. "You believe that, right?" I nodded, but the truth is, I didn't know what I believed anymore. That night, I checked our home security system. Mark had installed cameras around the house years ago, after a break-in scare down the block. I went back through the footage for the last few weeks. Looking for something, anything. Around 2 in the morning a week ago, someone in a hoodie walked up to our front steps. They didn't knock. They didn't try to get in. Just slid something into the mailbox and left. Too dark to see their face. I filed a police report, but the officer just nodded and said unless there was a threat, there wasn't much they could do. Could be a stalker, he said. Could be someone trying to scare you. I didn't tell Alex about the pictures. I hadn't spoken to him since I ended things. But a part of me started wondering, what if this wasn't about Mark? What if it wasn't him trying to get revenge? The next twist came when my gallery assistant, Maria, pulled me aside after work. "Hey," she said, biting her lip. "You know that guy who kept coming and asking for you last month?" I frowned. "What guy?" "Tall. Kind of wiry. Had a beard. Said he was a private art dealer from Detroit or something. He kept asking when you'd be around. But he never left a card." I thought it was weird. My stomach turned. I asked her to show me the security footage from the gallery. There he was. The same guy. I didn't recognize him. But something about the way he lingered by the door, always watching, not browsing, not shopping, it felt off. The next day, I drove to Alex's loft. I wasn't planning on going in. Just watching from the street. I had to know if maybe it was him, if maybe he sent those pictures. But the building had a for rent sign now. Gone. Just like that. I called him. The number was disconnected. That night, I asked Mark, what if someone else knew? His face went pale. "What do you mean? What if someone's been watching us?" "Both of us." We sat in silence. Then he pulled something out of the junk drawer in the kitchen. It was a small black device, about the size of a pack of gum. "I found this under my car last week," he said. Didn't think much of it. But now, it was a GPS tracker. Someone was following him too. Someone knew everything. And now, I can't shake the feeling that this isn't just about cheating. Someone out there is keeping score. And we don't even know what game we're in. It all came to a head 2 Saturdays later. We were having dinner at Mark's brother's house in Evanston. David, his wife Mia, their 2 kids. They'd been trying to help us patch things up. Acting neutral. Not taking sides. But I could feel the tension simmering every time Mark looked at me and then looked away. Like he couldn't quite decide if I was worth the effort. We were halfway through dessert when Mia asked how therapy was going. Mark didn't answer right away. He set down his fork. Pushed his plate back. Then he looked at me. "Tell them," he said quietly. Everyone froze. I looked around the table, confused. "Tell them what?" His voice got sharper. "About the pictures." David cleared his throat. "What pictures?" Mark looked straight at him. "Someone mailed photos of her affair to our house. Caught her kissing the guy. Hand in hand. Different days. Different angles. Someone was watching them." Mia gasped. David's mouth opened like he wanted to stop it, but couldn't. I sat there, burning with shame. "We don't know who sent them," I muttered. Mark slammed his hand on the table. "You seriously still think this is about me getting revenge?" The room went dead quiet. Mark stood up, walked to his coat, pulled out the GPS tracker, set it right on the table next to the half-eaten pie. "Someone followed me too," he said. "Someone planted this under my car." Mia covered her mouth. David looked like he was about to be sick. "That's insane," I whispered. "Who would do that?" And then Mark said the name. "Alex." I shook my head. "No." He left. His number's disconnected. His place is empty. "He didn't leave," Mark said, pulling his phone out. "He moved. Changed his number. New place in Hyde Park. I hired someone to find him." I just stared. "You what?" "I needed answers," Mark said. "Because you never gave me real ones." I needed to know who the hell this guy was. And what he wanted. David stood up now, trying to calm things down. "Mark, maybe this isn't the time." "No," Mark snapped. "This is the time. Because I went to see him." My chest tightened. "You what?" He acted surprised. Said he didn't send anything. Swore he left you alone. But his voice shook. His hand kept twitching. "He lied. He's not that kind of person," I said, almost to myself. "You don't even know who he is," Mark said, louder now. "You risked our entire life for a stranger who followed you. Who watched us. Who tracked us. And you don't even know his real last name." The room spun. My pulse thudded in my ears. David took the kids upstairs. Mia just sat there frozen, wine glass in hand, not blinking. Mark turned to me again, breathing heavy. He showed me something before I left. What? Mark reached into his jacket again and tossed a USB drive on the table. I didn't open it. Couldn't. But he said it was a backup. Just in case. I didn't touch it. I couldn't. My hands were shaking too much. He recorded us? I whispered. Mark just nodded. I stood up and walked out. Down the street. Didn't even grab my coat. I felt like the air was going to crush me. The fallout was worse than I imagined. The next day, Mia called me. She sounded tired. He watched you, she asked. I guess. You think he's dangerous? I don't know. You need to go to the police. But I didn't. Not yet. Not because I wasn't scared, but because I wasn't ready to deal with what they might find. Mark and I didn't speak for a week. Then he emailed me. I'm moving out. This isn't working. I can't look at you without seeing him. He left the house with just a few boxes. Didn't say goodbye in person. I sat alone in our living room for hours. Days, honestly. I kept looking at the framed screenshot he had left on the table that first night. I didn't take it down. I wanted to hate Alex, but part of me wondered if he really was behind it. Or if someone else was pulling strings in the dark. Maybe a friend of Mark's. Maybe a friend of mine. Maybe just someone who hated happy-looking couples. But deep down, I knew. It wasn't about who sent the photos. It was about what the photos showed. They showed the truth. I betrayed someone who loved me. And now he couldn't even look at me. Mia stopped by last week. Brought me soup. Sat quietly for a bit. Then she said something that stuck with me. You know what the worst part is, she said. You both tried. You tried so damn hard. But sometimes trying isn't enough. She hugged me. Told me I wasn't evil. Just broken. Told me to get help. Real help. So I did. I started therapy. Alone this time. Not to fix my marriage. Just to fix me. It's been 3 months now. Mark's living in a condo near the lake. He's not dating anyone. Neither am I. I saw him once at the farmer's market. We nodded at each other. That was it. The USB is still in my drawer. I've never opened it. Sometimes I think about burning it. Sometimes I think about plugging it in just to see if there's more I should hate myself for. But mostly, I just sit quietly and think. Think about the things you throw away when you lie. Think about the people you turn into ghosts before they're gone. And I wonder if maybe one day I'll forgive myself. I'm not hopeful. I'm not hopeless either. I'm just here, living in the wreckage, and trying to figure out what kind of person I want to be next.